My leap into video lectures was inspired by an article I read several years ago about the Khan Academy, founded somewhat accidentally by Sal Khan. For a bit more background about the Khan Academy, you might want to check out his 2011 TED Talk. It also occurred to me that I learned quite a lot about woodworking, which is one of my hobbies, by watching amateur YouTube videos whenever I'm developing a new woodworking skill, and I've also found that there's quite a bit of good horticulture-related video online as well. Now, I'm aware of the controversy surrounding massive open online courses, and I'm also aware of the Open SUNY initiative, but that's really not necessarily the direction that I'm taking my videos. Rather, I see online videos as a way of delivering the lecture content of my plant propagation course in an efficient manner so that I can use in-class, face-to-face time doing more high-level problem-solving skill development with my students. With that bit of background out of the way, let me introduce you to the software that I use to create my videos. Everything is put together using Prezi as the presentation software from Prezi.com. I then use several pieces of software from TechSmith, including Snagit, which is in the lower right-hand corner here. That's the interface for Snagit, which is an image capture piece of software, so I can capture images, still images, from a computer screen, which are then dropped into the Snagit editor inside of this large box. And the Snagit editor allows me to manipulate the images in many ways, adding text, adding different types of effects. Then I record these videos using Camtasia Studio. And here is just a close-up of Camtasia Studio with the three components. The preview window in the upper right-hand corner. All of the elements of the video are dropped into the lower timeline panel. And then in the upper left-hand corner are all of the different pieces of software that can be used to create different features within the video itself. I know this may look complicated, but after using the software for just a couple of hours, you'll be making your first videos. It really is that easy to use. I massage all of my still images using Photoshop Elements version 6. I think it's actually up to version 11 now, but version 6 works just fine for me. When all of my videos are completely edited, I upload them to a Dropbox account. I copy links to the videos and email them to my students. So a quick review of the software I use includes Prezi presentation software. Prezi.com costs about $59 a year for a subscription. From TechSmith, I use both Snagit and Camtasia Studio, and there are both PC and Mac versions, about $200 for the initial package and $100 upgrades. Photoshop Elements 6.0 and Dropbox, which is free. And of course, there's many different types of cloud-based storage options at this point in time. Hardware that I use includes a pretty basic Lenovo X220 laptop. I use one of my neighbor's discarded flat screen monitors as a second monitor. Nothing wrong with used equipment. Flatbed scanner. Most of us now have multi-purpose machines for that. I do use a Yeti USB mic, which I'm using right now, which really sounds very good and costs about $150. I do occasionally use a digital tablet, though I'm not very artistically inclined. As far as cameras go, the only suggestion I have is to get as much resolution as you can afford, and I store the 50 gigabytes or so of raw data from the recording session so far on a network-attached storage unit, which allows me to work from anywhere in my home or to access the files over the internet when I'm not at home. Now that we've gotten the nuts and bolts taken care of, the software and the hardware, I wanted to spend a couple of minutes sharing my experience in actually putting videos together, some of the techniques that have worked for me and some maybe not quite as much. First, the key in my experience are to create short episodes. And by short, I mean no more than 5 to 7 minutes long, and maybe only 3 to 5 main points per episode. Part of the reason for this is purely technical. Shorter videos upload to a cloud storage service faster, and they download to your students' devices faster as well. Shorter episodes are also simply easier to edit. You don't spend as much time editing short videos as you do very long videos. And let's face it, as fascinating as this video has been, we're pushing 7 minutes already, and the bottom line is it's getting boring. So with that in mind, I'll try to get through these last couple of points as quickly as possible. First is whether to write a script or not. Now, of course, the pros will say absolutely use a script. You'll be better organized, and it'll be easier to edit the video on the backside once it's completed than if you were to simply ad-lib. When I write scripts, I use a simple Excel workbook where I put a screenshot of what I'm talking about on the left-hand side and the text that I'm reading on the right-hand side. Now, for me, writing a script takes a lot of time and thought, so I don't. In fact, I'm actually ad-libbing this video. What I find is that using the Camtasia Studio software and its voice narration app, it allows me to erase anything I don't like and simply re-record it. And I'll record things in roughly maybe 30-second to 1-minute segments. And usually there's not a lot of editing to do because of those very short clips. The next thing I want to talk about is how to make video look like video. I think we can probably all agree that just showing a lot of static text within a video is sort of a waste of video. Likewise, showing a lot of static text, even if it's within presentation software like PowerPoint or here, Prezi, is still a waste of video. Moving into the dynamic listing of text starts to capture viewers' attention, and even more so, dynamically marking up images further engages the viewer. Obviously, a lot of images is very helpful. As the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. On a much larger scale, Dickman Farms, a contract propagator. And if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how much is video worth? And the more video you can add, the more engaged in many instances a viewer becomes, and the more thoroughly you can explain points that you're trying to make. And Camtasia Studio allows me to incorporate all of these different elements really quite conveniently once you sort of get the idea of copying and pasting, which we do in all sorts of software already. Always keep in mind, it's not the focus on the technology, but rather how this technology can help our students better understand the subject at hand. Future plans I have for my course include creating podcasts with experts in various aspects of plant propagation, whether they're academics and reviewing their published work or interviewing owners of plant propagation facilities, using Skype to record the interview and then asking them to share images and video that can be dropped on top of those interviews. So instead of taking a field trip, students will have the opportunity to learn from experts without having to leave the class or even their home. I'm going to add video quizzing within each of the videos, and that's a technology that Camtasia Studio already has built in. I'm thinking about creating instant feedback videos so that immediately after students take quizzes and or exams, they can watch videos to review the subject matter immediately following taking the quiz and exams versus having to wait a week to get the results back. I'm considering developing videos of lab exercises which illustrate the various exercises and the techniques that will be used so that students can watch the videos before coming to lab and therefore be prepared to jump right into the activity versus having to spend half of the lab simply reviewing this type of information. And ultimately, the question has to be asked, is an online course offering in the future? And at this point, I have no idea if that's going to happen or even the process for making it happen. Now, in addition to using video for coursework, I'm also going to be using video for many operations within the greenhouse itself, including creating a greenhouse operations video manual, where I can show students how to use a fertilizer injector, or how to identify various pests, or how to simply repot a plant, so that I can go over the technique with them initially, and they, at their convenience, can review those techniques as many times as necessary. And I don't need to spend my time with them doing that. I'm going to create video updates about activities in the greenhouse, and this is something I already do and post to the greenhouse Facebook page. And finally, I'll be creating informational videos on specific specimens within our greenhouse collection that can be accessed via the greenhouse website and or accessed using a smartphone and taking a photograph of a QR code, which will then open up the video and allow people visiting the greenhouses to learn more about our collection on their smartphone. And so to conclude, these are the ways that I am using video both in my class and considering using them in our greenhouse collection. I look forward to talking to you more about these techniques at your convenience.